Before we start, here's a pop quiz. How do you kill a vampire? Write your answer down and we'll come back to it later.
Here's a pop quiz. Can you explain the reasons for events that happen in your dreams? Write your answer down. We'll come back to it later. Hey guys, with that extremely pretentious intro out of the way, I'll get to the meat here. The Thermian argument is to give in-universe explanations for any out-of-universe question about a piece of fiction. The Thermian argument is that this is an insufficient defense for preventing us from making any assumptions about the author's beliefs or motives. Folding's example is, if we're repeatedly shown scenes of women getting torn apart by orcs through a lens he calls pornographic, then we can learn something about the author choosing to write those events and frame them in that way. And you know what? Most of that isn't wrong. I could totally see being a little suspicious of somebody who writes an entire series just about that. Pretty safe assumption to make. I'm behind him here. But hold on. This isn't his overall point. This is the Mott to the Bailey. This is the easily defendable, agreeable Trojan horse that sneaks in a bunch of wrong ideas and horrible implications with it. Just because I can probably make this assumption safely here doesn't necessarily mean I can make it anywhere else. His worst stance, wrapped up in this one and presented later in the video, is that every event, setting, and character detail written or not written is the result of a conscious decision by the author who can be criticized for it. If you don't have any brown people in your story, you're sexist. If you don't have any women, you're racist.
Strike that. Reverse it.
If no man cuts off his penis, it's transphobic. If you don't have two women kissing, it's homophobic. This isn't how creative writing works, which I believe he knows and is feigning ignorance of to argue in bad faith. Writers do not make conscious decisions for every inclusion or exclusion of every element. When you ask why a story doesn't have any major Inuit characters and call the author racist for excluding them, you're doing something akin to asking why the color of a particular wall in a story was written to be blue instead of any other color. That is to say, you're probably not asking anything they at any point considered. Such details are often not only not conscious decisions, but weren't thought about at all, because people write first and rationalize later. But wait, that sounds crazy, doesn't it? How could it be possible for anyone to write a good story like that? How can someone write with any consistent tone, symbolism, metaphor, or theme without consciously even knowing that they're doing it? How can the idea come first without rationale? Because that's just how the human brain works. We have a lot of connections already built in that we're not aware of, and don't even realize we're tapping into. Thoughts aren't constructed, they emerge. This is why writing fiction people want to read feels less like creating and more like discovering, like clearing away fog, like turning a page to find out the truth of what happens next in the story. It just flows. To tie this to that starting question, that's how you can have dreams with all of those things, having no conscious awareness of why those events took place. The symbolism is already there, hardwired in. You can attempt to rationalize why some dream event happened, maybe after the fact, but you definitely weren't planning it out ahead of time with conscious intent, were you? No, because that's not where creativity comes from. He doesn't even throw this a bone as a possibility anywhere. No, stories are all the sum of willful decision-making. Well, I disagree. An author not including Aboriginal Australians or blue-haired lesbians in his story doesn't make him an evil person. He, as a good and normal person, probably simply never saw them come up. People using this argument like to pretend humans must either have a conscious explanation for everything they do or be willing to tear it down. This is a selectively enforced ploy for political control. An author being unable to explain why he wrote The Wall is Blue does not change how it made you feel to read it. Writing The Wall blue worked, regardless of whether or not there was a conscious intention on the author's part. This touches on a bigger point many turbo-rationalists have a hard time accepting. We can benefit from behaviors without knowing why we do them. A spider has no conscious understanding of why it spins a web, and yet the web works anyway, unchanged by that fact.